8 seconds.
Ray with a Biggs, B-I-G-S as his time. Unfortunate F-perm from the front.
Michael will get started here. Tends to use a lot of his allotted 1 minute to warm up.
Has been repping the Virginia Tech jacket this entire weekend. Now going for a Baltimore County leather jacket.
Technically, it shouldn't hurt since you went first, but we want to avoid anything we can.
Seconds.
Michael's still looking around.
12.
Dot case. Oh, avoided it.
So,
oh,
good?
That's good. That's good.
Barely good. 7:42. The fastest solve we've seen so far. That is of 2 solves, though.
Oh, it's very, very close. Right now, looking at white.
8 seconds.
Ooh. Locks up on that apron. And the 772. Pretty choppy throughout the entire solve. This is, I believe, Ray's first national championships.
Oh yes, it's the first nationals finals for both of them.
Yes.
Michael, of course, generally developing as a speed cuber sort of after around 2019 and after that point. So really hasn't had the opportunity to. Ray, of course, being capable of getting into a nationals for quite a few years now, but never getting that PR average in semis to be able to get in there until today.
Checking out white as well, looks like.
8 seconds.
Either doing cross on top, no. Starting with white on top, but transitioning down.
A little bit pause heavy here. Seawell into a U-perm, locks up, gets a 9.4.
Michael enjoying a little bit of the spotlight there, locking up on the R3 U-perm, which is generally supposed to be re-gripless, but
Keaton, was it you that popularized that, Alex? I feel like I remember seeing you do it back in the day.
There are 2 clockwise R3 U-perms. I believe I made a video about that one, and Lucas Eder actually made a video about the angle where the bar's in the back.
12.
Ray getting a dot case. It's going to give him diag.
Yep. 863.
There's not that much that you can do once you get to that point and you realize that you have that case.
Yeah.
You can try for an alternative algorithm, but you're going to have a dot case either way.
Yep.
Michael now with a 7.4 and a 9.4. Already won his main event and has accomplished his goal. From what I understand, this is icing on the cake.
For sure. Not much hesitation here with the start.
.808. Yeah.
ZB to finish it up.
Michael Nielsen saying Bob in the camera.
Bob.
That's a Bob time. Nice Z. Oh, there's pretty nice ZB recognition.
Very good recognition.
solve 4 right now. Even seeds will always go prior to the odd seeds here. There you go.
7:51. That's Ray's best time so far in the final, giving him a best possible average of 7.8 and a worst possible of 8.17.
Seconds.
Michael does yellow.
Much
J-perm
here. Gets a 592.
Michael Nielsen is very much so enjoying his time in U.S. Nationals finals. 5.92 seconds solid with a J-perm.
Nice job.
Quite an impressive time.
Our first sub-7 of the round even.
Very fast. It was a 6-move OLL into a J-perm, about as good as you can get for a full step last layer.
I'll leave it up. I'll leave it up against 2 more.
Right now on his final solve.
8 seconds.
And the 738, getting his best possible average of a 7.8 average for Ray Bai in
Sub
the
8.
finals of Nationals.
Sub 8 is an incredibly respectable time, and especially when you are faced with this pressure for the first time.
Yes.
Ray has done a fantastic job as we transition over to Michael's last solve. Huge range here. There's more than a second difference between best and worst possible average, and that's because of that 5, that's the best time, and 9, that's the worst. For those of you who are tuning in and may not know the format, the best and the worst solve of the average are dropped, and then the middle 3 are taken, and that's going to be your average ranking. So for Ray, the 7.38 and the 8.63 are removed. For Michael, anything could go.
8 seconds.
Bit of a hesitation before that G-perm. That will give Michael a 7.69 average in the finals of Nationals.
More or less exactly middle of the road for Michael there. Nothing in particularly lucky or unlucky about the solve. So he ends up beating Ray by 0.11 for our first 2 results of U.S. Nationals. We're now going
14 to come.
We're now going to move on to the next 2 seeds. So Aiden, as we wait for these next 2 seeds to come out, we've got 14 more people left. Obviously, Michael and Ray are fantastic solvers, but they are among those that are very happy to be in Nationals finals.
For sure, yeah.
And there's another group that's really hoping to win the whole thing. Of the remaining 14, or Michael and Ray, who do you have as potential podium members?
I would love to see, just for my home state pride, Max Schauer, Samir Agarwal on the 3x3 podium would be incredible for me.
Varun, currently one of the fastest solvers in the world, previously was very well known for being the fastest cuber to stand up while solving.
That title now goes to Ye Hang Wong.
Morgan Ye from Canada.
One of our 3 Canadians.
6:03 average coming into this is his best in competition. He was able to get a 6:86, which is his best average of the weekend.
Varun no longer stands up, but does sit on his knees when he competes. So, makes him look a little bit taller than he actually is.
Ready.
Eight seconds.
Oh, starting off with a D and F, off by 2 moves.
An M slice move is counted as 2 moves as per WCA regulations. That H perm, yeah. Not a common DNF you see from CFOP solvers, but it does happen.
Morgan now on his first solve.
Morgan, the fastest cuber to not have a sub-6 official average.
The only thing we ask is not to watch the stream.
Oh.
Okay. It's okay.
There we go.
It's a 698. Pretty big hesitation from Morgan on this solve.
And so far the fastest time we've seen on Scramble 1. So while we can gather a couple of things about each competitor's speed, we can also gather sort of a little bit of information about how good each scramble is relative to each other by taking a look at the relative best times. And of course, right now we're taking a look at that 4th scramble. Michael Nielsen with a 5.92 with a 6-move all-out into a J-perm.
And granted, all of the competitors we've had so far, I believe, are only white or yellow cross solvers.
We'll see a little bit of a mix-up later. Sunghyuk Nam, Patrick Ponce are very well known to be color neutral solvers. Next park, I believe Luke Garrett is as well.
Garrett is color neutral. I think Luke Reisert might even be.
12 seconds.
Was worried about finishing with a +2 there, but the cube realigned itself on the table. Adds an extra half a second or so to Varun's solve time. Having to make sure that his cube was in fact solved before stopping the timer.
So I believe this is actually Varun's first major final. He's gotten to the semifinals of North American Championships last year, and then also the semifinals in Nationals 2019 and 2018.
Yeah, very different experience. Ooh, Morgan. Very shaky on the last layer there. It's a 679. Not happy with that solve. Looked like he was at last layer at mid-4.
Bit of a struggle for that G perm, but still sixes are better than what could have been had he dropped the puzzle.
8 seconds.
Varun accidentally turns the S slice mid F2L pair, and also misses out on a winter variation. It's a 7.5.
This is also Morgan's first major final.
He was in Canadian Championship Finals just 2 weeks ago.
Seconds. 12 seconds.
Ooh. Morgan seemed to have trouble with his last layers on these solves. Go to the replay there.
Is the same G-perm as
Yeah.
the previous solve.
Locks up again, does a few extra moves.
And this is the song that we want to be paying attention to right now.
Our best time of the final round is on this scramble.
I believe he was done on yellow.
I think so. Varun looks like he's going for white.
He is.
Yes.
So we will not see the same solution here.
ZB? It is 7.4.
Morgan taking a minute before they solve.
Does not want to make that 7 counting.
Seconds. 12.
Very smooth.
Does white
sub
here.
3 F2L. Locks up a lot. 625. The crowd goes wild. Morgan is not happy with that solve. Was done with F2L sub 3.
It's a 6-2-4 wouldn't be as big of an applause. Yeah, Mitch.
Morgan, of course, a 2017 ID, was not competing when the original 625 was a thing.
I was just stopping it. I'm ready.
Eight seconds. 12 seconds.
Yeah, Varun finishes his average with a 901. That's going to put him at with an 8.54 average.
Which is very respectable in the grand scheme of things. Varun,
Yeah.
of course, probably not going to be as happy with that average as he would have been
Especially
with
with the DNF.
his previous averages. But he's still an incredible feat in order to make it in the Nationals finals.
Seconds.
A little bit of lockup on cross here.
I think this is the exact same solution.
It might be.
Hit the exact same last layer.
Yeah, looks familiar. 760 for Morgan. That gives him a 711 average.
Currently slotting him into first place of the 4 solvers that we have seen so far.
711, one of my favorite numbers to get for an average in cubing, but I'm sure Morgan not as happy with it. So next up we're going to have, looks like, Caleb Chen and Samir Agarwal.
As Kian has said, Caleb Chen has been cubing for only a year. He's a 2022 ID. He competed in only 3x3 this weekend and has only ever competed in 2x2, 3x3, and one-handed.
That's incredible. 609 average. Probably our youngest competitor. And now we have Samir Agarwal from my home state of Washington. Samir just won square one at this competition, is a former world record holder for square one average and single, and is 16th in the world for 3x3, so no slouch here either. Not Samir's first major finals as well, was in the finals of North American Championships last year.
Howdy. Good luck. Thank you. You got this.
Samir being judged by
His former local delegate,
Yeah.
Matthew Dickman.
has attended many of Matthew's competitions.
It's always good to have a familiar face in those types of
It
situations.
really is. It adds some level of comfort that you might not expect, really.
Either one's fine.
You can start whenever you're ready.
I emphasize that Caleb Chen has only been competing for a year.
Yeah, we don't know how long Caleb has been cubing. Likely could be started during lockdown and got his first chance to compete after. Has made a name for himself.
Eight seconds. 12.
Oh, he's recognizing
ZB.
ZB.
Oh. Tries to go back to finish that last turn, but still slips.
Let me know whenever you're ready.
Caleb off by one turn at the very end. Any turn, if you're off by one turn, which is more than 45 degrees away from the solve state, that is going to be a plus 2 second penalty. If you're more than one turn away, it's going to be considered a DNF. Did not finish.
Smear turning pretty slowly for his standards. He's a 608.
That was a very clean ZB right there.
Yeah, almost no pause to recognize it.
Instead of doing two algorithms in order to finish the final case of the cube, he saw exactly what he needed to do in one algorithm.
Back soon into soon.
And he saved approximately 5 moves, and then additionally some recognition time of the second case.
Yep. Caleb now warming up for his next solve.
It's the best start that we've seen so far from
It is,
Samir
yeah.
Agrawal.
By a good amount, too.
That type of average, if he's able to keep it for the rest of the solves,
Would be
we put him in
putting
contention.
in it, yeah, a very good spot.
Caleb taking a second, doing a full solve here.
Caleb checking out White Cross on this solve,
8
it looks
seconds.
like. Able to cancel into Peel, gets a 637.
Talk about a comeback. Caleb Chen, very, very smooth. Does a couple of cancellations into that Stealth Bomber OLL and then immediately recognizes the G-Perm.
Handling the pressure very well.
Let me know whenever you're ready.
Really, the only slip-up that we've seen was just due to the missed turn on his last solve.
Seconds. 12.
Ooh,
Ooh, pretty big pause from Samir here.
looks like he's got a dot case as well.
Yeah. Lots of lockups on the G-Perm. 909. Not going to be happy with that solve at all. Caleb now warming back his hands. Doesn't like what he sees on white. He's checking out yellow right away.
8 seconds.
A little bit shaky on F12 here. Yeah, not going to be a good solve. 884.
And that will be counted.
Yeah, Caleb not going to be happy with that, I'm sure.
I think in the box.
Missing some crucial F moves.
Samir on the third solve right now. typically been sort of middle of the pack solve for other solvers.
They're definitely not looking to make that 9 counting. Very smooth start. Bit of a pause here.
Still on his
I think he
final
might have
pair
done
right there.
an extra F12 pair by accident. 749.
And that again will count. I believe we just heard a freight train.
Yeah. I didn't know there was any train tracks around us.
Caleb taking a decent amount of time here. Gather his composure.
This is the scramble that we've seen some good times on, so we'll see what
8
Caleb
seconds.
can make happen.
If he does yellow,
It looks like he will be.
he does.
Oh, very fast into last layer. Ends with a 5:35.
Caleb
That is
Chen.
the fastest time that we've seen so far.
Caleb Chen doing a little bit of tricky D moves right there. Automatically saw the U-perm coming out of the OLL, knowing that that's going to give you a bar on red with corners oriented and permuted. Now Samir checking out the exact same scramble.
So he might be going for yellow as well.
12.
But it isn't.
To 637.
That was a soon F sexy into F perm. One of the longest
Very,
last
very
layers
bad
you can
last layer
possibly
cases.
have. You can execute all the turns very quickly. Oh, he had F perm plus U2 as well,
Yeah.
just to add insult to injury on that one. It doesn't mean that 6.37 is counting. He does have a very good best possible average of 665. Caleb Chen, of course, a very wide best possible average. We were talking about that range with Michael Nielsen.
1 left. Yep.
Caleb Chen has a 10 and then a 5.3 as his alternative time.
And Samir's best possible average and worst possible average are exactly 1 second apart.
Eight seconds.
Six
6.57.
Gonna give him a low 7 average, 7.26. We'll put him in second place at the moment.
Behind Morgan Ye.
So you'll just hang out here until
Not a bad performance for his first nationals ever.
8 seconds.
Also the best time that we've seen so far on that final solve.
I think.
Oops, Samir doing a Y2 there. Ends with a 627. Samir probably not happy with that, but it is our first sub-7 average of the final round. Gets a 6.71 average.
That's going to slot him into a tentative first place for now.
Ahead of Morgan Ye.
We've got 10 solvers left. Samir's going to be watching each one with a decent amount of bated breath. Congratulations to Caleb Chen, by the way, coming out to your very first U.S. Nationals.
Making the final round and not doing bad at all.
Doing only 3x3
Yeah.
and making the final round of it. Then getting a 5.3 in finals.
Yeah.
I'd
all
say
of his eggs into one basket and
they did very, very
did
well.
very well.
I mean, Caleb Chen is one solve away potentially from making the podium at U.S. Nationals.
For sure.
For your first attempt, that's incredible.
Yeah. And here's somebody who needs no introduction. From South Korea, home of this year's World Championships.
So Hyuk Nam, of course, the 577 PR 3x3 average. He is no secret to top level competition. podiuming at Worlds 2017.
Yes. And Brennan Lynn, coming off of winning the Canadian Championships just 2 weeks ago, beat out Maddie Hiroto Inaba.
Also with a 4.14 PR single, that's currently the Canadian national record.
12th in the world, has a 5.93 PR average as well.
I believe so, but I'm not entirely sure. It might not be.
Nam is our first color-neutral competitor that we will be watching, so the scrambles that have been bad for some solvers may not be the same for Nam.
In particular, we're going to be taking a look at Scramble 4.
Yeah.
Scramble 4 on yellow is what we are taking a look at.
Seems to be the best solution to come out of this round so far.
For those of you who are following along online and maybe watching your very first cubing event, first off, welcome. We are at CubingUSA Nationals 2023 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If you're interested in following along with all the results, you can go to live.worldcubeassociation.org, and there you can find CubingUSA Nationals, and you'll be able to follow along with the results and 3x3 finals. Results are being input live for each competitor as we take a look at the very first color-neutral solver. So now is taking a look at blue here.
8 seconds.
Makes sense. Most of our white cross solvers have not done too well on this solve. Last layer, sub 4. Gets a 5.69 to start out. That is the best time we've seen on this scramble.
Very clean last layer with a U2 sledge with a UA perm. Very, very clean execution right there. With a little bit of a lockup.
A little bit of a lockup. Just a tiny bit. Brennan Lynn did pull out an upset in Canadian champs. Imagine that, a Canadian winning the Canadian Championships.
Seconds.
Brennan with a Z perm.
Was it a Z perm?
It was a Z perm, despite the fact that it had. Despite the fact.
Okay, it was.
Despite the fact that it is all corners permeated, the Z perm is actually considered in the middle of the pack, if slightly below average PLO.
Average, yeah. Has a lot of room for error as well. Was looking to be a pretty good solve for Brennan up until the last layer.
Seconds.
So you're taking a look at a lot of crosses here.
12.
Settles on yellow. Locks up on the G-perm. Was a very smooth solve up till that point. It is 6.93.
There was a lockup on the
OLO as well.
On the OLL and the PLL.
Not great cases for the last layer.
Seconds.
Brennan locked into an orientation very, very quickly.
Gets another Z-perm.
This time executes it very cleanly, a 6.64.
Brennan's been getting some really bad last layer cases. Soon F6 F prime OLL into Z perm. Last solve was an awkward shape OLL CP into Z perm.
8 seconds.
Taking a look at white here.
I think Nom's going for blue. Yeah. Served him well on the first solve. Another G-perm. Having trouble executing these.
Constantly increasing solves for Sunghak as well. 5-6, 6-9, 7-5. It gets into a little bit if you sort of feel like you're losing control of the average if your times continue to go up. Obviously, I don't expect Sunghak to get anything higher than a 7.5 in this next solve, but mindset is a big part of this. Nerves are a big part of this. Obviously, Sunghak has a lot of it, but he did get only second last year to Hyunkyo Kyung at Korean Nationals. Good solve for Brennan.
Big drop. 789.
6-move Olal into A-perm as your last layer. You really can't ask for anything better.
By far the best last layer that Brennan has gotten.
Oh. Sunghak breathing and not doing a lot of warm-up in between each of his solves. This is the solve.
And it looks like Nom is
Do
going
yellow.
to check out yellow.
8 seconds. 12 seconds.
This solution looks familiar.
That's it.
5:34. Fastest time of the finals by .01. Caleb Chen got a 5:35 on this scramble.
And the exact same solution as Michael Nielsen on that one as well. 6-move
Move Olal into J-perm. Yep.
Very, very clean execution.
Eight seconds. 12 seconds.
Oh, Brennan turning very fast, but locks up quite a bit. Brennan, yeah, not going to be happy.
Does not end up doing the exact same solution, although he does do yellow.
Best possible average 752 for Brennan. 599 for Nom.
I believe actually his worst possible average of
Nom.
671 will tie Samir Agarwal.
But will win by single. So Nom is guaranteed to be first place of the competitors that we've seen so far after the fourth solve.
And that would be the first 8 solvers already done. We haven't been able to see a lot out of this last scramble. Although Sunghak is our first color neutral competitor here.
8
Looks like
seconds.
he's in for red.
Green? Yeah, he ends up doing red. Just puts blue on top at the last second.
6 from into ZBL, gets to 640. That will give Nom a
Mid-6 average.
634 average. Well
Again.
into first place of the competitors we've seen so far.
Again, best possible average and worst possible average are good statistics in order to understand sort of the range that solvers have. But when they're really, really wide like we're seeing right now, it's not too surprising that he gets a middle-of-the-road solve.
Brennan is going to end with,
Nice job.
I believe, an average over 8 seconds, 8.05. Definitely not what Brennan's looking for. Came out of Canadian Championships 2 weeks ago with, I believe, a 6.2 average to win it. Has a sub-6 PR. 8.05, he's not going to be happy with that.
Patrick Ponce, of course, the defending national champion from 4 years ago in Baltimore. He's here again. He has just set the world record average for one-handed, rather tied his own world record average for one-handed this weekend, earlier today.
Kyle Santucci from Alberta, Canada, our final Canadian competitor of the round, and I believe our last non-American competitor.
Correct.
Kyle tied his PR earlier today with a 593 average in the second round of 3x3. That put him in second for the round.
So far, we've got the 8 competitors that have gone so far up on the screen right now in terms of their averages. Sunghyuk Nam is currently in tentative first place with a 6.34 average. Samir Agarwal in second with a 6.71, and Morgan Ye with a 7.11. Sunghyuk, that 6.34, I think, is in contention.
Worth noting that Kyle's 2 of the 3 rounds Kyle's competed in, he's been in the top 3 at this competition. Ooh. Patrick locking up on the Z-perm, gets a 5.36 to start.
I mean, we've just saw that story with Brennan Lynn, except 3 seconds a little bit slower. Patrick Ponce, I mean, that was nearly a sub-5.
It was. Seems like Blue Cross is the one to do on that scramble if you color neutral. Nam did it as well, got another sub-6 on it.
Blue and green are Patrick's most comfortable colors as well. He did start on those. Of course, he has transitioned over to color neutrality over the years.
Kyle is a white-yellow solver, though, I believe.
8 seconds.
Much less efficient solution, but still very good turn from Kyle. Gets a 6.2 to start off.
Incredible TPS right there, especially on that last layer.
Is that good?
And again, if you can stay consistent within your sort of expected range of solving, for Kyle in this case, that's going to put him in a podium slot.
It would.
Ready.
But Patrick does have the best start we've seen so far.
8 seconds.
Patrick with an OLL skip.
Little cheeky VLS there. Bit of an easier case, but nonetheless gets to skip OLL.
I'm ready.
Kyle with a very short inspection here. Fantastic case.
Fastest solve we've seen so far, 5.08.
Fantastic time by Kyle. The best time I have ever seen. It's a bit of a joke there. But still an incredible
No
solve.
stranger to 5.08s. Is that still your PR?
That is still my PR. It's been 6 years. Both of our competitors off to fantastic starts. I mean, these are
The best we've seen.
sub-6, easily able averages.
Ready.
Patrick immediately looking at blue here.
8.
I believe that was Nam's choice of cross as well for this scramble. Locky, but gets a nice ZB to finish off. Gets a 6.77. That does mean that the 6.75 is Patrick's first counting time of the average.
Little Locky going into the ZB right there, but decent execution on it.
I'm ready. Eight seconds.
.OLL. into an R-perm, 618.
Very consistent. Kyle with 2 counting low 6s right now, and that 508 to be able to sort of buffer anything that he may be able to get better than that.
Could very well lock in the sub-6 average.
And we've got solve number 4 to go.
Yeah.
Patrick flipping a lot,
8 seconds.
not finding a cross.
12
He's
seconds.
looking at red.
There's a pretty large block to work with. Maybe you can find X-cross solution. Very smooth last second to 663.
Non-stop turning after that 4th pair. He's able to get a decent time there due to that great look ahead.
625 best possible average. Mitch.
Looks like inspection was very, very close to that 15 seconds, but as far as we're aware, it's not a penalty.
Kyle is checking out yellow.
8 seconds.
Locks up.
Different last layer case.
618 again. That locks Kyle into the first position that we have.
And he does have a
From the
national
competitors so
record
far.
chance. Does have a national record chance. The Canadian national record is currently Bill Wang's
592.
5.92.
Kyle was 0.01 off of it earlier today, which tied his previous.
And he's just discussing it with his judge right now about what the national record is.
What does he need?
He's going to need something fairly
Best possible
close to that
581.
508.
Meaning I think that he needs
Like a 5.4, 5.5.
535, I think, to tie it.
Okay, so even faster
8
than that.
seconds.
535.
.538 to tie. 651 for Patrick. Locks in his 663 average. That puts him in 3rd place for what we've seen so far.
And Kyle Santucci actually still has a solve to go.
I was waiting here for
So-
solve with great anticipation.
Kyle can get a 538 or better here. That will give him a national record.
I'm ready.
Patrick Ponce, by the way, moving into number 1 among American solvers. Soon-hyuk is Korean and Kyle is Canadian.
8 seconds.
Oh, cube fall right there.
Having
Good
trouble.
recovery.
Okay, Kyle does end with the worst possible average. Having some issues keeping the cube in his hand, but I don't think that Kyle is mad with a 619 average by any means.
That slotted him into 1st with only 6 solvers to go. He's not
Very-
guaranteed a podium yet,
Very well in contention, though.
but he's very well in contention indeed. We've got 6 solvers left. They are all Americans, which means they're all eligible not just for the podium here, but also additional prize money associated with being the national champion and, of course, the coveted
national
title
title, yeah.
of U.S. national champion.
I imagine that's what most of our competitors are thinking of more than anything, is if they can get that title.
So we're going to take a look at results right now. But first we're going to Max, of course, from Aiden's home state of Washington, a fantastic square one solver who just very recently got a 4.91 average, breaking his own record and getting sub 5.
Max phenomenal at every event he does, except for Scoob, as he'll tell you, but
Max, of course, a fantastically well-known solver, currently has the 3x3 world record single, has gotten the 5x5 world record single just earlier today. He is one of the favorites coming in, having had won 2 national championships prior, and of course being our 2017 world champion. He's had a Netflix documentary about him, and he
has his own little personal tunnel to go through right now from some of our staff members. So this is our Max versus Max
Whenever you're ready.
round. Max Xiao warming up. Has competed against Max Park before in a head-to-head finals at Western Championships earlier this year. Is no stranger to the pressure. Before
No, but you can go whenever you want.
Max starts, there's a bit of applause. Max is a white-yellow solver. Very rarely does yellow, though.
8 seconds. 12 seconds.
Max getting up to that more or less time limit of inspection.
Messes up. I believe Max knows full UZBLO, but maybe doesn't remember that alg or just wanted to play it safe.
I think, especially if you're missing a couple algs or you're not super familiar with them, you just play it safe.
CO alone, the U-perm is not an awful solution for that last layer.
Max Park doing blue in this case, just like Patrick Pons.
And so like not. It's our first sub 5. 4.95 for Max Park. With one of the worst OLO cases, but that gets to cancel into the G-perm.
You can hear Max talking about his first sub 5 in finals. I believe that's also his first sub 5 of the entire competition.
It might be.
Yeah, his previous best has been 5.22.
Max Xiao looking at yellow
8
here.
seconds.
Maybe trying to make use of that
12 seconds.
2x1 block. Ooh, very locky throughout the solve. It's an 8.3.
Yeah, and that's more or less the reaction you expect. It's just a really unfortunate lock right there.
Max Xiao has been chasing a sub 6 average for well over a year at this point. Looks like Nationals Finals is not going to be the place it happens, unfortunately.
Max is color neutral, but he's primarily a blue, green, white, yellow solver. He doesn't solve all colors at the same amount. In this case, he's going for yellow. Oh my goodness.
5-0-0.
That is counting, a counting 5 flat.
Never let it be said that Max Park is not an efficient solver. That was very, very efficient F12.
Fat anti-soon into T-perm. About as good as you can get.
by far the best start we've seen.
And of course, there is still solve 4.
And 3 and 5.
Yeah, and 3 and 5.
Max Xiao is having issues here.
He's going to get diag.
806. So not the times he's looking for. You can see it on his face.
Just very unfortunate. Last layers that he's having right now, G-perms and E-perms are what you hope to avoid when you get into a Nationals finals. Another blue cross here, or potentially
8
one.
seconds.
Blue cross. I think this is what Mom and Patrick also did.
Yes.
This is another low 5. 5.34 for Max Park. Barring some very unfortunate events on these next 2 solves, it is going to be a tall ask to beat Max Park. The mean of his 3 solves so far is 5.1. The only other solver that we have to go that has an official average faster than that is Luke Garrett.
Oh my goodness. Max, of course, working with strategies, working with his parents on strategies in order to cope in this type of situation, to do series of drills actually that was discussed in a seminar by Sean Park earlier at
8
Nationals
seconds.
about how to get used to this kind of situation,
12
handle
seconds.
the pressure, and perform well. Max Xiao in the situation. I believe this is the exact same solution that Brennan Lynn had on his 4th solve.
Something similar. 7:16. Very fast start, but just cannot make it happen. Meaning that Max's best possible average is 7.56, well behind what he would have needed to be on the podium. See what cross Max decides to do in the solve. Doesn't seem to be looking at yellow.
8 seconds.
It's looking at red, just like Patrick.
664 for Max Park. Guarantees him a sub-6 average. 5.66 is Max Park's worst possible average.
An old 3x3 single world record from 2011. Very unfortunate. In this case, color neutrality ends up biting you in the butt a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
And take a look at the slightly easier cross for a significantly worse continuation on the rest of the solve. But, of course, Max isn't able to see that kind of thing in inspection.
No.
Cubers will only really see the first, the cross, and then the first up to 3 pairs in the best kinds of
12
situations.
seconds.
It doesn't look like we've had any scrambles where that would be possible. Max Xiao, all but given up here, is retreating the cube into his lap. Gets an 8.42. Worst possible average of 7.94 for Max. He is not happy with that, but you can see as he smiles into the camera,
He's
having a good time at least.
He's got a square 1 world record from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
He's got a square 1 second place at U.S. Nationals. This is a blip in an otherwise exquisite cubing career.
Yep.
Eight seconds.
Next is white. Bit of a
Locking
cube
up
up.
a bit. 621. Meaning that Max Park's average will be 5.52. An incredible average in the finals of U.S. Nationals. Going to be very tough to beat.
There are only 2 competitors left that have an average in their best average in competition better than a 552. That was Luke Garrett, as discussed earlier, but then also we have Matty Hiroto Inaba, who has a 525 average officially.
Matty, also no stranger to big finals, won the North American Championships last year with a 5.62 average.
Luke Garrett last week, of course, with the 3.44 single, breaking Yu Shengdu's 347 only just after Max's 3.13. So Luke is currently number 2 in the world for a 3x3 single.
Ben Zhao got a PR average in semifinals, but 5.82. 5.8. Puts him just ahead of a solver he's very comfortable competing with. Both of these keepers are from the Midwest.
Ben Zhao has not made it, however, actually not even attended a major competition for 3x3. So this is going to be his first experience in this type of high-pressure situation.
Luke Garrett came second, I believe, at North American Championships last year. So has dealt with this kind of pressure before.
Has competed prolifically. He came in 3rd last year, competed prolifically since COVID has sort of eased competition restrictions. He's also come in 5th in 2019.
It's another color neutral solver, so
8 seconds.
might be able to see what some of our other competitors have seen, but appears to be hesitating a bit. Although it is very fast in the last 30. 5.87 to start.
Bit of a hesitation on which PLL to do. It looked like it was a G-perm, and he thought it was the mirrored case.
That is one of the OLO cases that most competitors will predict PLO for, as it only moves 3 edges.
Ben Zhao also doing blue here. Gonna give himself diags.
Same time, same exact time.
Down to the thousandth of a second.
Down to the milliseconds. 5.879. Different solutions, though.
I'm glad we have video footage of that. Otherwise, it may look like a data error when people are entering into the WCA, as we're hearing Keaton Berry say. Luke, of course, was very well known at 0.001 differences. Now, like Chad is saying, it's a 0.000 difference.
No difference, you might say.
8 seconds. 12.
560.
So Luke keeping pace with Max, if just a little bit slower, not by that much.
Some fancy wide F moves for that last F12 pair. Avoids a rotation. Oh, +2 to 6.51.
Ben Zhao getting a bit unlucky with these last layers, getting 2 V-perms in a row.
Does not tie Luke on this solve, unfortunately. Was going very smooth through F12, but Unfortunate last there.
Oh, it looked
Actually,
like it was an
looks
L
like
turn at the end
yeah,
of
looks
the
like
timer.
when he dropped it.
Look at him, blue here. 2 cross
8
pieces
seconds.
in place. Another 3 moves to solve cross.
Double that 12 at 3.4. It's another sub 6, 594 for Luke.
Luke with pure sub 6 right now.
I'm sure he's very happy with that. Our solvers do not know what times previous competitors have gotten.
It's also the same solution as Max with that G perm at the very end.
Ben also looking at blue here. Gets one of the worst
GC
PLO
perm.
cases. 755. Ben not happy with that for sure.
Ben getting the brunt of the bad luck here.
That +2 definitely he's gonna feel it now.
Luke looking at yellow.
8 seconds.
Here we go.
It's not the same solution.
This is not the Brennan Lynn solution either.
It was
662.
It was a J perm though.
It was a T perm, I believe. Yeah. Oh, J perm. Yeah, you were right. No, not 601. Best possible, worst possible have not shown up yet. I believe this puts Luke ahead of Kyle Santucci with his worst possible average.
Seconds.
Yes, it does. So Luke Garrett into second place at the moment. Ben Zhao having a lot of trouble this final. It's a corner twist.
Everything that could go wrong more or less is going wrong. 2 V perms, a GC, and a twisted corner. Oh, I feel.
Not to mention the +2 on the second solve.
Feel for Ben Zhao right now.
You can see it twisted on that last R2 move. I think he noticed it and immediately rotated. At least that does avoid a DNF.
So Luke definitely going to be slotted into the second place slot right now, but
Cannot
of course,
beat Max Park with his best possible average.
there are 2 fantastic solvers behind him. You want to make sure that you don't give them any ground in order to beat you.
8 seconds.
Luke on last layer already gets a 629. That should be a sub 6. No, it's going to be
It's good.
603.
It's good with the 603. Luke Garrett slotting himself into second place here.
Just hang out here till he's done.
He is not guaranteed a podium yet.
But this means that Max Park is. Max Park at the very worst, in the worst scenario for him, where Luke Greiser and Matty Hironobu beat a 5.52 average,
Hard to imagine that reality.
will make a podium no matter what.
Ben having some issues again with PLL. 7.43 to finish it off.
And it looked like another GC perm for Ben Zhao. What an encore.
It was. GC perm.
I can only imagine that Ben Zhao will be back in future years and next time cannot get nearly that type of bad
Absolutely.
luck.
Got it all out of the way this time.
Yeah. Luke Garrett, on the other hand, comfortably putting himself into second place right now with a 6.03 average. You're going to need to get sub 6 to beat him. His spread was very, very good. I mean, his worst solve 6.6, his best solve 5.6. Very consistent average to be able to make it to second place.
And we do have our current North American champion coming up next to finish off the final round. But first up, we have Luke Greiser hitting the stage. 5.66 average that he just got in these semifinals.
Also has a Kentucky State record beating Lucas Etter's 4.90. Maddie, of course, the defending North American champion, looking to continue that for his second year here at U.S. Nationals 2023. Does not have much to prove, but a lot to gain.
I'm sure he would not be unhappy to take home something today. Another medal for Hawaii. Luke doing some practice solves on the stage.
Good luck.
You may begin whenever you're ready.
Looks like Luke must have gotten his puzzle. Although it is just stood up to take off his sweatshirt. It's getting serious. Jacket comes off.
Ready. Eight seconds.
Bit of a rough start for Luke. It's a 783.
Bit of time spent on recognizing that ZB, which is not one of the nicer cases. Maddie looking at blue, just like Max and Luke.
Maddie notably does never use a whole lot of inspection. I think that's the same solution that Luke Garrett did.
Yep.
On that solve. He took 576. Very similar time.
I believe the difference here is that Maddie was able to recognize the G perm slightly faster.
Slightly faster, yep.
Big shot of staff right now, and we've got VIPs in the front row and many other viewers as well.
Greiser taking his puzzle. Looks like he's looking at
Yeah,
yellow
here.
cross.
No.
Oh! Messes up the AUF after that ZBLL.
That means that 7.8 is going to be counting.
That it
Yes.
would be very tough to get a 618 or better, 619 average or better.
It's going to be an uphill battle for him.
Yeah. Maddie looks like he's checking out white cross. Although now,
8 seconds.
unsure. Decides to go for yellow. Bit of a lockup here.
Bit nervous.
6.48.
Looks of it. But he's able to lock down a decent time right here.
Maddie has one of the most distinct solving turning styles I've ever seen.
Was able to also to do a T-perm plus U2 cancellation. A neat little trick that some of the top solvers have picked up over the years. Luke Greiser also going for a very short inspection here, doing yellow.
It's a 692. Not pleased with his performance.
Especially that +2 on that second solve.
Here comes Maddie. We've seen Blue Cross do pretty well on this scramble.
8 seconds.
Maddie does do blue as well.
It's locking up quite a bit. It's 656 with all those lockups. Really, all things considered, that wasn't terrible. Although Maddie does need to put in some work now to aim for not just second place, but the podium.
That also does seem to be the exact same solution that Luke Garrett and Max Park on that solve. More or less one way to win it.
Maddie would need to count, I believe, a sub-5 now to win.
I think winning would be very difficult for Maddie at this stage, although he is very much still in the running for a podium slot. If he's able to make that 5.7 count, he's going to more or less need 2 5s in order to wrap this up.
I think so.
8 seconds.
Luke Greiser not seeing a lot on this solve.
This is the 4th scramble, which we've seen some of the fastest times on.
I know it.
He knows it.
He knows the ZBLL.
I got it!
Yeah! He did it! Knows the ZBLL. Only took him 3 seconds to recognize it.
I was really hoping he didn't +2 that.
It's the small victories that he's able to claim here. It's the small victories.
You know, when you're at this stage in the Nationals finals, you might as well have some fun with it.
Maddie taking a look, initially taking a look at yellow, and instead what seems to be going for orange.
He is going for orange. I don't think we've seen anybody go for orange on this scramble, but does pretty well for him. 586.
It's going to be very close.
This could, if Maddie gets his best time, it might be a battle for second place by a single.
Yes, so that's going to tie Luke Garrett in the case where Maddie Hiroto-Naba gets his best possible solve. He's going to need a 560 or better, though, in order to get into second place.
A 559 or better. I guess 560 would tie Luke Garrett and Maddie Hiroto-Naba for second place. A very rare scenario.
Of course, his worst possible average would put him out of the podium entirely.
Would keep him on the American podium, but Kyle Santucci from Canada.
Luke Greiser finishing off strong with a 5.86.
PPA, yeah. It's not even so I'm sorry.
Luke not happy with
Hang out
his
here till
performance,
that
but I
is
think he is
Um,
at least pleased with that final time. And now our last solve of U.S. Nationals.
Potentially for second place.
8 seconds.
Ooh.
That
That's
puts him off of podium.
Maddie Hiroto-Naba with a almost the worst possible average in this case. 6.27 average is going to put him into 4th place. He is going to be top 3 amongst our Americans, but Kyle Santucci from Canada will take 3rd. Luke Garrett will take 2nd, and Max Park with a 5.52 average will take 1st place.
Kyle Santucci performing very well in this competition. Top 3 in 3 out of the 4 rounds he competed in.
And incredibly consistent as well in this final. 6.20, 6.18, and 6.18 counting. That is a wrap on one of the fastest finals we have ever seen here in any cubing competition. We are here, though, at the largest one at CubingUSA Nationals 2023. We're going to wrap up here, and then we are going to transition over into the awards ceremony very shortly.
Well, you want to move it? What's that?